Oh, the ones
Oh,
I was eating
thank
at
you.
your house? Are there any left?
He hasn't, I think this is his third meeting that he hasn't been at.
Yeah, and with no word.
Sorry? Thank you, I think. That's a compliment. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Do I have 1 minute? I left my,
Yeah. This is a meeting of Groveland Conservation Commission for Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. And take a motion to open the meeting.
Move to open the meeting at 7:04, 7:06.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of opening the meeting, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, so tonight,
Fred's not zooming in.
no, I mean, you see his, I'm keeping an eye on,
Okay,
The
all right.
box
so we can do
up
voice
there.
votes.
if you see his name come up,
Yep.
let me know. Okay, so tonight we have a couple of hearings continued that will start at 7:30, about 24 minutes or so from now. But between now and 7:30, we'll try to cover the other items that are on the agenda. So, the first item on the agenda is 104 King Street, discussion of continued filing. So, we had an agreement with the owner of the property to file Groveland-only permits to mirror what was required by Mass DEP. And we did do a GANRAD, if you recall, a few months ago. And so now we're ready for another filing. Groveland Notice of Intent, I believe, would be the one. But I'll turn it over to you.
Our recollection is we never made that agreement, and I'd be very interested in seeing the video where we did. Our position is, we self-reported to the DEP. This commission then reported to the DEP and gave jurisdiction of the matter over to the DEP. So as a consequence, I don't believe we are subject to the local permitting process because it's all done by the DEP. There's no provision in the bylaw that is more restrictive than the regulations that DEP has imposed, and we have a requirement by the DEP to submit all the reports to the commission, and the DEP will do all the inspections. So I believe that the the filing on the municipal matter is redundant. It's, and, you know, if anything, it's being punitive at this moment.
What's your name, sir?
I'm sorry, my name is Frank DeLuna, Small Act and Bond.
You're an attorney, right?
Yes.
So, Attorney DeLuna, I really don't want to go into this again. We went all through this several months ago when you were here, and you expressed the same attitudes that, you know, you didn't feel that it was right, that you didn't have to do it, that the bylaw didn't support it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For some reason, a mind was changed, and after I sent an email spelling out the several reasons why we felt that it was important for a filing, you did file for a GANRAD. So now to present the same argument you used against that, after you've already filed one of the filings, seems kind of strange. So I think that the rest of the commissioners will agree with me that we would like you to file a Groveland notice of intent. The primary reason being out of fairness to the other people in town that have to file similar permits. You know, the Mass DEP, yes, they're handling what they're doing, but you know, that's happened before in the past, and we asked people to file under the bylaw also. We don't know, you know, I don't know what the commission is going to decide. To say that, you know, it's not going to make any difference, we don't know, because we haven't seen any of the materials that would be required under a local bylaw filing. So, you know, frankly, I'm surprised by what you're saying, because there was an agreement, and that's why you filed a Groveland Groveland ANRAD.
No, the Groveland ANRAD, it was filed as a measure of good intentions, and had nothing to do with what we had intended to do in the future. You have all the information that you need. The DEP has taken jurisdiction. The DEP is extremely happy with the results of the remedial work. I was talking to Libby today, and she expressed how happy she was, how everything came along, and had no notion that the municipal bylaw would be enforced against the project.
So, what do you want to do, commissioners?
Other than the filing fees, there'd be nothing in addition. All the information that is required in your local bylaws has been submitted to the DEP, and the DEP has taken jurisdiction at your request.
Well, why don't you address the fairness issue, because that bothers the heck out of me.
You gave up jurisdiction to the DEP.
No, we didn't give up jurisdiction. The Mass DEP is taking it under a different form that we are not able to do. An administrative consent order, we don't have any such thing. But we do have a bylaw, we do have bylaw permits that every other developer, every other resident in Groveland, if they have a project, has to file. So I don't understand why you think you're special and you don't need to file.
We don't think we're special.
Well, you obviously do, because you don't want to file. I don't want to argue with you. We had the same argument before, and I'm tired of it. So, file. That's it. I'm sorry. You're going to file. No commissioners here disagree with me. So we'll be expecting a filing very soon, if you haven't already done it. I think you've already submitted the paperwork and the check for it, so we're all set. We'll schedule it then. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next thing.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If we are filing, what are we filing for? The
The-
restoration under the DEP order?
Yep. The work that the bylaw covers, which is probably similar to what Mass DEP requires.
And who will be doing the inspections on any of our filings?
Excuse me?
Who will be doing the inspections on any of the filings?
Inspections on the filings, probably our agent.
And is your order of conditions anything different than the DEP's?
Sometimes it is.
You've done this process before with a
Yep,
with
we
the
have.
DEP's
Yep,
unilateral consent decree?
yes. We
When
have.
was that, may I ask?
When was it?
Yes,
2 years ago. Sewell Street.
I'll be asking for the papers on that thing.
Oh, you can get it, it's all online, just look it up, it's online. Okay, we're gonna move on now. Seasonal restriction waiver requests, Annie, did we get any?
Do we want to skip number 2?
Number 2.
The map 24 lot 08.
Oh, okay, sorry, you know what I'm looking at? I'm
I
looking
added
at
that
the
one.
draft.
Yeah, sorry, I added that one
Sorry
last
about
minute.
that. Okay, so this is discussion of lot clearing and plan moving forward. Why don't you tell us about this one?
Sure, so, for clarity's sake, so that the commission knows what we're talking about, SD Park, you're looking at SD Park. To the left of it, there's a driveway, there's the power lines, and then the driveway. The driveway heads down to our substation, and then behind it is a 8-acre or 6-acre lot, a wooded lot. It was brought to my attention that, someone saw some logging trucks leaving there. I went to take a look and a large portion of the lot was cleared. The full-size plans that you have in front of you is that lot with the, rectangle drawn on it is what was cleared. The, not the page with the text on it, but the page with the 2 images. That was a printing fluke. Those are the same images. You can see the 60 by 40 foot garden with 100 blueberry bushes. That is what is proposed. And Mr. Eric Harper, the owner of the property, is also here to address the commission. And the page right before the plans with the text on it that starts with greetings, and that is, he submitted that today. But again, he's here, so I will let him take it away from here.
Thank you, Ann.
Yep.
First of all, let me express greetings to the board. I do value your volunteer efforts, and I'll be brief. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come in front of the board tonight. This is, I understand this lot is of concern to the board, and I want you to know that there will be no further action taken until it's gone over with Ann and board members if necessary. So, this is a 6-acre parcel, and it was described as behind the electric department. Goes all the way, and it's bordered by the Johnson Creek, the intermittent stream, and the power lines. And we have a 40-foot right-of-way into that property. And that property historically has been, I guess, used by the SB Lumber Company. There is there's an area that's been cleared. It's 135 feet by 210 feet approximately. It's outside of the 100-foot, it's 100 feet from the Johnson Creek. I'm here tonight to ask to remove the stumps for the purpose of planting some blueberry bushes and a garden. I plan on planting about 100 blueberry bushes about 5 feet apart, and rows, 2 rows that are 10 feet apart. And they're gonna go in an L shape to the back and the side of the garden. The garden's gonna be like a 40 by 50 foot garden. there's a local guy, Tim Collins, I don't know if you're aware of him, but he would be the one, he was preparing to remove the stumps when we stop. So tonight, I'd like to ask that we be allowed to remove the stumps from that cleared area in preparation for planting the bushes in the garden early spring. Thank you for your time and consideration. I don't know if you want to discuss this amongst yourselves and get back to me later on.
I think maybe we have some questions.
Okay, you have some questions?
I'm just trying to get my bearings here. So this is the old SD Park. Right? This area. This is, trying to figure out where the river is and where Main Street is. There's no,
So this is SD Park. This is the river. Main Street is up here.
right, that's what I figured. So I'm wondering, so is this Johnson Creek or is this the Merrimack here? Because it says, this implies that's not the Merrimack River, so I'm confused now. Because I would think the road
Merrimack
goes
River's
this way.
beyond.
Yeah, it's beyond.
So it's down here is the Merrimack River?
It's like in that far corner.
Yeah, if you look at if you just flip this around a little bit, and, this is the,
Because, I know where this is, and the road is out here,
yeah.
but I'm trying to figure out,
So this is SD Park here, and this is the right of way, and it goes into this lot. This is the lot right here.
So this
Right.
is Johnson Creek. The
But
river's gotta be over there.
here's where I'm confused.
Yeah.
Why is that saying it's from Trimount when,
That's bituminous, it's down here.
right, but where's
So
the river?
Merrimack River is right here.
Yeah, because the creek is coming along, doodly-doodly, it comes out here. The river is like along here, and the old landfill is,
Yeah, this is the
So-
landfill here.
Is the road going
The
this
road,
way, this way?
Yeah, so this is,
the
so
road's
road is going
more or
like
less like this, yeah.
it's going like this.
Recognizing
And here's the electric department right there.
So on the other side of the road, this is the right-of-way for where the train used to go.
Right, I just thought, I thought the
then
river was
on the-
closer up.
Well, the creek
this
is.
is a
Yeah.
little bit skewed, so
Skewed,
that's
yeah.
why.
So it's
The jurisdictional area is,
this lot.
is,
There you go.
is to the creek, not to the river.
Yeah, that's very helpful, right there. That gives you a good idea. There's the main road. This is the
So,
power.
so here's my trouble. This says Trimount bituminous, and according to that, it's the
It's, I think it's
Merrimack
because
River.
This is,
They're right on the other side.
yeah.
Okay, so the river probably starts right around here
It's
somewhere.
close.
Here's the river right here. This is the creek that comes by.
Yeah, okay.
That's actually a good shot. Right
Because I was
there.
thinking
That
this,
clears
this
it.
property was over
Makes
here,
it a
but
little
it's
easier to understand.
over on, so it's beyond that. Okay. I'm good. Sorry, thank you.
No, no problem.
So are we going 100 feet or 200 feet off of Johnson Creek? Because I know this came up last time when we did stuff out on that property.
Well, it's within the 200-foot riverfront area.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm concerned about.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, Mr. Harper wouldn't be here.
Right, so,
He knows it's within the 200-foot buffer, so tell us, Eric, why did you not realize about the 200-foot riverfront area?
I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking. And, I have a tendency to get carried away.
Yep.
And, in this instance, I did. It's something I've been thinking about, but, when the opportunity came, I took it. So there's probably about, I haven't counted them, but I think there's probably about 18 stumps there. That, I'll look into it.
Yep.
Yeah, but how much is, So it's not just removing the stumps, it's what are you going to do?
It's,
What, I know you're going to put a vegetable garden and blueberries, but
right.
that's not what we would want there, if it's in the 200-foot buffer, right?
Well, not necessarily, but, you know, I mean, he took down 18 trees within the riverfront area.
Well, that's an issue,
Right.
that's an issue.
And so if, let's pretend the trees are still there and he's coming in now telling us he plans on taking the 18 trees out, would we allow it? I don't know.
No, well,
You know, that's a little, it's tricky. If you remember that house on Salem Street where the guy is along Johnson's Creek, and we went to his yard and we had to look at it? Terry probably remembers, and we were
Yeah.
trying to figure out, you know, he cut all the trees, and then we were trying to figure out why did he cut the trees, and there's certain reasons why we allowed trees to be cut. In his case, it was because it was he was increasing his recreational area for his family, so we decided that it would fit under that category of recreational use or something to that effect.
It turned out most of it was outside of the jurisdictional area.
Yeah, it was a little tricky there.
It turned out to be further away than it appeared initially.
Yeah, right, because of the hill.
Yeah, but there was, some of it was within, so, I think we would have discouraged that if we had the opportunity ahead of time.
Right, exactly. Is this an agricultural venture?
Yes. I have a friend that has a blueberry, farm in New Hampshire, and, he's going out of business, actually, so I'm able to get some plants from him. And,
And are you planning on like selling them on site or selling them somewhere else?
I haven't got that far into it.
You
But
like
I eat
blue,
a lot of blueberries myself.
you like blueberries.
I do like blueberries.
Yeah, so
I'll bet
that
you
was,
don't
the-
eat that many.
100 bushes.
that was the driving force.
So why can't, so here's the trouble I'm having.
Yeah.
The plans were done in 2017. It's clearly marked riverfront, you know, flags 10B, 11B. I mean, clearly whoever did this for you knew it was riverfront and designated as such. Why couldn't the garden have been outside of the 200 feet and we wouldn't even be having this discussion?
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of was under the impression that, in Groveland, 100-foot was something that was kind of done readily.
Mr.
For
Harper,
wetlands, yeah.
We've sat in this room many, many years ago on your property and we talked about the riverfront versus a 100-foot buffer.
Yeah, this is, okay.
I have trouble believing you were not aware of the 200 feet.
I'm at fault.
Right, so if we agree, like Terry said, we wouldn't have allowed this. It's not like, or I'm assuming we wouldn't have allowed it. We would have asked you to just move it out of the 200 feet as opposed to clear cutting an area within the zone, you know, the riverfront.
Now, aside from access to the easement, what's the reason for putting it so close to the river?
It's near the easement.
Well, okay, that's what I said. Aside from that, is there any other reason?
That's
So,
the only thing I
for your
can-
convenience, you wanted it closer, you wouldn't have to worry about cutting down other trees to get to it. I don't know how forested it is over there. But, yeah, I'm not crazy about this either.
Have you been to the site, Annie?
I have, yes.
And you don't have any pictures, do you?
I do, if you give
There's the
me
200, do we have
a
that?
minute to pull them up on my
That's
phone.
you-
So
oh,
I
you
was
did
on
it.
my phone.
I used my, you know, I took the scale.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go all that far.
Can't vouch for the accuracy.
So, why don't you say this, right? That you want an agricultural consideration on putting it in the riverfront area. Like,
Yes.
you know this,
Yeah.
for working in the riverfront area, or making changes, there's a lot of,
Rivers,
it's
we're looking toward the river.
difficult, but there's reasons why it can be allowed.
This is the area that was
And I
cleared.
suspect that agriculture is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
What's it like further
you
back?
say, all right, this is an agricultural venture only, and that's what I want to do within the 200-foot riverfront area,
Yes,
200 feet,
right?
yes.
which
all
would
right.
be
So
halfway.
I don't think we'll make a decision tonight about it, because I think we need to do a little more research on it.
Understand.
But
Would,
I don't, we'll wait and see, do the commissioners want to, do we all want to go take a look at it or something? I think it might make sense to go take a look at it.
Site visit.
Yeah.
You haven't filed anything yet, have you?
No,
So if you're going down that route, how is that different than the Washington Street address where they had to file?
The Salem Street, you mean?
No, Washington Street.
Which one?
Right on the border with Boxford. He claimed an agricultural, whatever, not
Oh,
exemption, but.
Well, I don't know. I don't know without doing the research on it.
So here's my point. We were upset because he did a bunch of work and somebody called us, and that's how we found out about it.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, no, it's agricultural.
Oh, right,
Oh,
right,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
that
you
one.
still have to file.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head what he's filed, but.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So all I can say is, I don't know. I just know it took me a lot of time to figure out what the rules and how they applied to that address on Salem Street. When it was only, you know, the thing with 268 Washington Street, there were wetlands there. He was in the wetland buffer besides the riverfront area. Whereas this is only riverfront, and the one I'm thinking of is Salem Street, and I have to really look at my research to see how could this fit in.
Well, at any rate, we can probably tell Mr. Harper that we would not be all that happy about stump grinding before the end of the season.
Oh, yeah, I
restriction.
don't think he's gonna do anything else.
Were you planning to do anything before April?
I'm not doing anything until the board allows me
Okay.
to do something.
Well, we should probably set up a sidewalk.
Yes.
You're okay with that, right?
When do we wanna do it?
Week from Saturday?
I'm not gonna be around.
I'm
gonna
free during
be-
the week.
I'm gonna be away for a couple weeks.
I'd be willing to do it individually if you like.
It's just easier if there's a bunch of us, because we can compare notes, and then we can deal with a lot of stuff before we come back and then try to reconstruct it.
Right.
How about Saturday, the 28th?
I'll be in Minnesota.
Oh,
Not cold enough for you?
Yeah, really.
Sled dog
Can we-
race.
February 4th, how about February 4th?
Who can do it during the week?
Yeah,
I can do
what,
it during the week.
how about,
Oh, you want to do it during
Most
the week?
Well, I don't wanna exclude anyone else, but I'm just.
How about, when are you gonna be in Minnesota,
oh, well, I leave Friday the 27th. Is anybody free Thursday the 26th? In the
Yes.
afternoon?
Yeah?
Sure.
Thursday,
Wednesday better for you?
that's, how about, oh, you leave on Friday?
It depends, I
First thing in the morning, if we do it early in
Yeah.
the morning.
It depends, like I was there yesterday, so
Allison.
it really floats
I
around.
have a
So whatever's good for you
work.
guys.
meeting from 7 to 11.
Oh, on the 26th?
Yeah, yes, on the 26th,
How about the 25th?
working that day.
No, I can't do that day. Anyway,
When do you get back?
I don't come back
Boss
until the
expects me in
22nd.
Tuesdays through Thursday.
What about
Monday, Monday, the 23rd.
working?
When are you coming back from Minnesota?
The 1st of February. What about Sunday the 5th?
Sunday, the 5th?
Is that Super Bowl Sunday?
No, it's pushed back a year.
Yeah,
now.
no,
They're gonna
I'm gonna
move
be
it
out
to
of the
the
country.
I can't do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so,
How about February 3rd?
He'll be out of the
He's out of the
country in
country.
February.
Oh,
I
Mr. Harper said he's out of the country.
Oh,
How about the 23rd or the 24th?
I mean, you guys can go without me, so.
Or what about like next Thursday or Friday?
I won't be there.
You're not here.
When do you leave?
20,
I leave tomorrow,
Oh, you do?
yeah.
That's cool.
23rd?
When do you get back, Mike?
I get back on the 22nd.
4th?
Monday, the 23rd, yeah, I think I could do that. Can you do that, Steph?
I can't.
You're
Monday
working
that
that
week,
day.
the 26th afternoon. That's bad for people?
I can do the 26th. I can do any time that week,
26th?
except for Friday. I have a meeting at 11:45.
26th, going once?
I don't know if I'm around on the 26th. I think I'm leaving on the 26th.
Oh,
When do you come back?
I come back, like the end of February.
Oh, so if we
There's
did it
no-
in March, we don't
Yeah.
need to do it
No,
right
it's
away.
not- I mean.
True, true.
His intention is planting, and I don't think
Yeah.
we have to worry about it in March.
Right, so, let's see, if we push it off to like, maybe like March 3rd? Friday, March 3rd?
Maybe.
I don't have my schedule for that week. yet.
Well, we'll have to, it'll be tentative, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Well, let's set
Early
it up,
March.
set it for the 3rd, let's confirm it
Are
at the
weekends
next,
not
at the
good?
next meeting.
It's fine with me, but,
What about Saturday the 4th?
well,
Confirm,
why don't we say either the 3rd or the 4th?
he's not here.
I think she means March.
Of March?
March?
Yeah.
March, yeah. March will be fine.
March 3rd or 4th?
Okay.
I'm sure Annie will let me know.
I will, yeah.
Yeah, we don't,
Oh, it's either or
we
day.
don't
Wow,
need to
no,
spend any more time.
Thank you very much.
It's a rain day.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Move to open the hearing portion at 7:35.
for a
Second.
second. All in favor of opening the hearing
You
portion
got
of the
Fred,
meeting?
you got Fred here, so you gotta do roll call.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We'll take roll call. Terry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Mike, yes, and Fred.
Fred, you're causing all this.
You okay with opening the portion, hearing portion of the meeting, Fred?
You're on mute, Fred.
No. Yes. Oh, okay, good, yes. All right, unanimous. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So, we are first discussing continuation of Lot 1 at the end of Center Street, the RDA, GRDA filing for a new driveway and drainage. If you recall, members, we had a site visit, in December, that was,
27th, I think.
yeah?
It
Site
was the
visit is-
27th at 10 o'clock.
Site visit, December 27th. And so, someone give me your 2-minute quick briefing on, because I didn't walk around, I stayed out on the street. But someone who went all through the property, one of us, give me like a 1 minute, give us 1 minute update on what you saw. Terry, can you do that?
Well, it's a little troublesome. We, there's some pretty steep areas, that are gonna require a lot of filling, and we're concerned about the actual flagging because there was what I thought evidence of, intermittent stream. I mean, obviously not a prime habitat, but a stream nonetheless. And I thought, from talking with other people, that we wanted to get a peer review before we accepted any delineation.
Okay. So you and other of us thought that maybe we needed a little more help in
Yep.
interpreting what's being presented to us,
Yep.
right?
It seemed like there was evidence of banks, I guess, or stream bank.
At least the
And-
channel.
Yeah.
There was evidence of water flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was actually frozen, so as you're walking, the ice was crushing beneath you. So,
Yep.
I mean, it was thin. It wasn't like it was, a pond, but.
Okay. All right, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, Matt Steinau from Millennium Engineering. I'm here tonight with the applicant, Martha, as well as the wetlands scientist, Matt Schweisberg from Wetland Strategies and Solutions. Right now, I understand there's questions about the intermittent stream or possibility of an intermittent stream over here, but I believe the application that's open now is the RDA, which is here. The intermittent stream, if it exists, and we'll address that on the next lot, is within the wetland, the wetland delineation, and has that same 100-foot buffer zone, so it would overlap within the existing buffer zone, which doesn't really come onto this lot at all. So what we're talking about here is just the RDA for the single-family house on Lot 1, and the buffer zone just strikes the edge of the property here, which really just focuses on the grading on the side of the garage. So the majority of the work relating to the septic, to the grading in the backyard behind the home, the actual house location itself, the septic up on the hill is all outside of a 100-foot buffer to the wetlands, as well as any potential intermittent stream. Now, Matt can speak to the delineation. He's got well over 40 years of experience in this line of work, and he performed the delineation and resource review for this property. And at that time, there was no indication of, I know there was a question about vernal pool, there was no indication of vernal pool, there was no indication of any other resource area on site except for BVW.
Well, there was actually, now that you remind me of the vernal pool situation, there was one area that we thought might be a vernal pool under the right circumstances, so.
Yeah.
I-
I mean, there were some ferns that look like wetland ferns.
I understood.
And I think there was some concern about the drainage into the 100-foot buffer from the corner of the lot, is that right?
Yeah,
This corner,
Yeah,
up by the roadway.
right.
you have the foundation drain coming from that house going across the second lot into the.
Correct. So we're talking about a foundation drain that has the potential to intercept, surface water that's draining through there, but it isn't going to be discharging water 99% of the year. It's clean groundwater. It's not contaminated. It's not coming from the roof runoff. It's coming from actual groundwater. Then it's intercepting the footing of the foundation. And during the wettest times of the year, this has the potential to have a little bit of seepage and drainage coming from that, but that's going to come out in daylight and surface flow, down here into the wetland area where this groundwater is actually subsurface, naturally flowing in that direction towards this low point anyways. All we're really looking to do here is provide relief on that rare occasion when the groundwater during the wettest part of the year or during an abnormally wet year gets up to that height, and we don't want to have a wet basement, so we just have that relief, that daylight for that foundation drain. Nothing from the roadway, nothing from the driveway is intercepting into this drain pipe, and nothing from the roof itself. So we're not taking any material that's going to have any type of tar or asphalt product and putting oil or anything into that. It's all clean groundwater.
Can you please remind me what is the filing for Lot 1 under an RDA? What are you trying to find out?
So we're requesting a negative determination on the basis that the work is unlikely to result in impact to the wetland resource area because of its proximity, that the work that we're proposing is associated with a single-family home, and it's minor in nature that would not result in impacts to the resource area with proper mitigation and management during construction.
So is the driveway going through the 100-foot buffer?
No, the driveway is here, it's just outside of the 100-foot buffer. It's literally the drain pipe in this corner and the grading on the side of the driveway and the side of the garage here that strikes a small area of the 100-foot buffer here and strikes a small area of the 100-foot buffer here.
Okay, so there is some work within the 100-foot buffer, just very small.
Minor grading, yeah.
But that's leading to more substantial grading in Lot 2 in order to accommodate the driveway.
Yep.
On Lot 2, not related to Lot 1. If Lot 2 were not approved, Lot 1 could be constructed as shown.
I'm thinking of the driveway that
Right,
goes on,
I think
yeah.
lot
no,
2 is the problematic
Yep.
lot with
So-
all of the grading and filling.
Right. But it looked, I mean, as best my paper scale can manage here, the lot line seems to be roughly around the 75 or 80-foot zone, and what you show here is you're doing grading up to 75 feet, it looks like.
At the closest point, correct. The majority of it is going to be greater than 75, but at the closest point.
And
So, Commissioners, the question I have is, hearing the explanation tonight, do we still want a peer review on this?
For the determination.
Yeah, for Lot
If
1.
if it is established that there's an intermittent stream, is that gonna affect the extent of the jurisdictional area?
No,
Nope, I mean, not for lot 1,
Not
it's
for
lot
lot
2
one. Not for
is
lot
the
one,
problem.
Okay, then,
It's just the drainage for lot 1. Do we
Right.
think that's okay?
I'd like to keep the footing drain on the property, either in a, I don't know, a dry well or something. I mean, just, my concern is it goes across another person's property, and, you know, it's not like there's a we've done other developments where there's drainage and there's a right-of-way, and everybody who buys a lot knows that the drainage is going here, and here we have a pipe that's just gonna be under these people's driveway and whatever, and
Well, it would be a similar situation. It's the same owners, so there would have to be a disclosure at time of closing, possibly an easement for maintenance purposes. So the person buying Lot 2 would be aware of what's going on there. It wouldn't be a sneaky thing that got you. They would have to be
Yeah, but being
informed.
aware of and dealing with
Yeah.
future issues is two different things, right?
Well, I'm saying in relation to the easement you're talking about.
yeah, well, I
It's really
guess,
no
I
different.
guess what I'm wondering is, and I have no idea how much it costs, but I mean, if you get like one of those cement, I
talking
guess,
about building like a little retention pond.
well, not even a retention pond, just something you sink in the ground, like a cement thing, and that's the dry well. I would think, because you're not anticipating a lot of water coming off the footing drain. It just seems to me like it would prevent possible future problems of neighbors doing something, and then something doesn't work right, and then, you know, in my mind, it complicates it by running somebody's drainage across somebody else's property.
Sure.
That's my only thing, and I don't wanna claim that it's super easy to do or whatever, I just, my fear is because the planning board isn't involved in any of this stuff, you know,
That's a good point,
who
yeah.
gets called later on when neighbors have problems? They always call us when they're
Good point, yep.
upset with something.
Yep.
Well, I mean, if it satisfies the concern there with the commission, I know a determination can be granted, a negative determination can be granted with conditions. We'd be happy to take the condition that the drain line is taken off, and we can propose a dry well out front here and get updated plans to Annie for the records. So we could show a dry well out in the front here. We would want to follow that up and come back to the commission to put in a new the drain line if we couldn't do the dry well, so we would investigate that. But just to move this forward tonight, so that way it's not lingering on the agenda, we would take the line off today. make that a condition of the determination, and then come back with Annie with a dry well plan.
What sort of, what sort of flow are you expecting for this? It's a 8-inch?
Yeah, bare minimum. So if we look at the water table calls that we found, which are much further back on the hill, but similar material. We had water table calls that were in the 4 foot to, about 4 foot down. And so we've got a foundation at about 158.5, and in that front where the pipe comes out there, we're at 156. 156, so down about 152. So I'm thinking the bottom of the footing is probably going to be about a foot into the water table at that point there. So if that's the case, again, the seasonal high water table is an average. It's the highest point it gets to over the years in creating modeling features within the soil. And so we don't anticipate year after year that it gets to that height. It's during the wettest times of the year when the oxygen is starved, and then we pull iron from the soil and it deposits it in that modeling feature that shows that it gets up there periodically.
The block wall, that's, I assume, creating like the backyard for the house?
Cutting into the hill there, correct.
So is that gonna give you problems with going, I assume you're cutting in, it doesn't give us, how far are you cutting down?
That's only about 3 feet into the face there. You can see we're showing,
So it's
I'm
one-
sorry,
it's
we get about a 3
158?
foot exposed. So we're at 162, strike in the middle of that wall, and I've got a 160, so we're cutting in 2 feet.
62, okay, so you're not that far. Okay. And that is what, for like a deck area or something like that, or?
To give them some type of usable yard, considering how steep the site is going out back.
And so above the Lot 2 driveway for the septic, you're actually raising it about 2 feet, maybe?
You're talking about next to the garage?
No, on, where the leach field, not septic.
Oh,
Leach
back
field
here.
It looks like it's gonna come up about 2 feet where you're grading from where it is?
At the top where the field is, we are going to be at elevation, where's my leader, 182.5 roughly, and the existing ground up there is at 180, 179, so it's coming up about 3 feet.
2, 3 feet, okay, so not, okay.
And that's to meet Title V for new construction. We can't get waivers to reduce it, so you
Right,
get
yep, I
full build
understand.
out.
I just wanna make sure there's not, I mean, it's already a hill,
Yeah.
so it's, you're not adding that much more, but it's gonna now pour directly on the driveway, but, okay.
People watching are gonna wonder if they hit the mute button by mistake.
All deep in thought. I have nothing else.
So, somebody want to make a motion about what you want to do?
You're gonna do it, no?
I'm thinking about his option where you remove the drain pipe and talk, and put in a condition of the the well. I think I'd like to see the plans first.
So what's the reservation? I mean, obviously you gotta go buy a concrete dry well or whatever, so there's that. Is it, what, you're gonna do some calculations on the water you're expecting to see how big that has to be?
Just the size, make sure it's sized appropriately. We have the area to do it, that's not the issue. And it's outside of the buffer zone, so really, once we remove that from it, it would be non-jurisdictional activity
Right.
that takes place up here. So at that point, all you would really be looking at is the grading associated with the driveway and the side of the garage within the buffer zone. So that's why I suggested if the real concern is having that pipe going down across the neighbors, under the neighbor's driveway, that we could remove that, we could get a dry well in there. It's just a matter of appropriately sizing it, so I would return to the department with updated plans that would show the dry well.
Right, but I think what you're worried about is that they come back and say, oh, we can't do this.
Right,
still-
and,
right, so-
and the plans would still show the pipe.
The pipe. So are you confident in saying that you can absolutely put a dry well on that property?
I'm absolutely certain that we can put a dry well here.
Just the position and all that detail would still, you gotta work on that. But
Correct.
it's not like you're gonna come back and say, oh, well, it doesn't work.
Well, no, what I'm suggesting to you is I'm absolutely confident it would work, and if we did have to go back to the other option for any reason whatsoever that I'm not imagining at this moment, that you put me on the spot, it would require us to come back before you. It's not something that would be considered part of the determination, because it's a condition of your determination that we don't have it. So we would have to come back anyways if it turned out that there was no way to get the dry well in there.
And then we're just talking about the grading.
Correct.
Well, they would have to file for a permit then. If they had to come back, if it's not in this situation, then they're gonna have to come back and file all over again if the dry well doesn't work.
Correct. There's no reason to think it wouldn't work. I mean, with a 4-foot deep water table,
Right.
there's really no reason we
So
can't get
how
something
come
in.
you didn't include that instead of this?
Because this is an option that works, meets the code requirements, and is the least expensive, so we're trying not to add cost to the project for a potential buyer. So because we are already clearing this area for the driveway and access to the frontage and all that there, it didn't seem like we were harming anything by doing it with a pipe that daylighted and provided the adequate, drainage necessary to make this work.
So we're kind of sacrificing the going into the 75-foot to 100-foot buffer for dollars.
Well,
Well, I
he's
mean,
not,
it-
he's saying, okay, if.
No,
if-
but
if
I mean,
it's-
Yeah,
No,
technically
it's
it
just
works.
like, that's why Eric cut down all those trees right by the easement. It's closer and easier and
Right.
cheaper.
right, but, I'm saying, it's like, why didn't you just come in with the drywall if that was the good
He
solution
just
anyway?
told you, because it's cheaper.
Yeah, well,
And-
that's what I'm saying.
Technically, it met,
And if
Requirements.
we'd said that's fine, then,
It
Yeah,
would meet
so-
the
It
code
would've
and
been
we'd
cheaper.
Fine, right.
yeah, so.
Why
I
not
can't
take the
fault you for that.
chance?
And we appreciate you saying we can do this, and it shouldn't be too much extra effort, and it should work.
Correct.
So, I'm not gonna chastise you like he was. You're gonna go for the less expensive approach if you can do it, right?
Maybe.
All right, he's not on the Conservation Commission. We are.
right.
So lot one then is settled.
Well,
Well,
no,
it-
it's the grading, we still have to talk.
Okay.
And
Does anybody have any other concerns, or should I make a?
No, this lot is reasonably well-behaved.
So, we're happy with no peer review on this lot.
This lot.
on this one.
Yep, okay. So someone can make a motion then.
So I make a motion that we find a negative determination for lot one with the stipulation that the foundation drain line is changed from what's on the plan to go into a dry well within lot one so that all runoff is contained within lot one. And the applicant will come back in the future with a plan that clearly defines those details.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on this? We all understand. So we won't be issuing the permit until we get the plans.
And you guys know about the seasonal restriction too, for excavation, you know?
Yeah, this won't be
We're
starting
not gonna be
anytime
doing
soon.
anything in the
Right,
next
so-
3 months.
So we have no problem with the condition that the plan be updated and be brought back before the determination is issued.
Again, just on the grading, because they could
Yeah,
do the well if they wanted to.
yeah, they could do the well. There's no, what do you call it? Hay bales or silt
Erosion
socks or
control?
erosion controls listed on here, or am I missing it?
They're shown on lot 2.
Right, so that's what
All
I'm,
down
I mean,
slope.
They're off that lot.
I get it, so I guess, so we're fine with that then, that lot, because we're, right now, it's like we're voting on lot 1, we're letting them do stuff. But like in the corner, right outside the 100 feet, where they're doing a bunch of grading, the assumption is that this erosion control will be on lot 2.
You could make a
But it's not an
condition that if
assumption.
construction starts on lot 1 before lot 2 erosion controls are in place, lot 1 requires erosion controls.
I second that, that's
And I can put
perfect.
it on the updated plan as well. I can add that line.
Yeah, I don't, my intention is not for you to duplicate the erosion control, but just.
In case one
let's
doesn't
make-
happen.
Let's make sure it's in
Right.
place before something starts.
So you understand what needs to be written. So we're gonna allow Annie to interpret the plans meeting our requirements, right?
Yes.
That's okay? All right, then we'll take a vote. So this is for a negative determination with conditions on Lot 1 at the end of Center Street property there. Terry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Mike, yes. Fred?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Did we get all the signatures from everybody? Okay, we're all, okay,
Oh, yeah, right
yeah, don't forget.
Now the fun begins.
All right, next is the notice of intent, Groveland notice of intent for a new driveway and drainage at Lot 2 of the end of Center Street.
So again, Matt Steinau from Millennium Engineering. Lot 2 is subject to the same site walk that we did back in the end of December. At the time of the site walk, we had the buffer zones delineated and staked out, the resource area delineated and staked out, the erosion control, and then a few other features such as the house location on Lot 1 and some well locations all staked out, so you could see the primary work that was being proposed within the buffer zone.
You had the center of the driveway, right?
We had the center line of the driveway. Subsequent to, prior to that, at the first meeting that we had, there was questions about the impacts that were being done in there, as well as the stabilization of the side slope coming off the driveway, how steep it was. There was also a request by a commissioner to change part of the erosion control between the 75-foot buffer and flag WSS 15. The updated plans that have been submitted to the board now reflect some notes that talk about the side slopes of the driveway all being seeded with a New England Conservation Wildlife seed mix, which will provide stabilization. It'll provide a natural, like meadow-like feel to it that will provide flowers and nectar and shrubs and things of that nature that will provide habitat value to that resource area. There's a couple notes there about that, as well as the note that was requested, we're changing the hay bale, changing the silt sock to the silt fence backed with hay bales, in that portion that was requested there. In addition to that, there was a comment that was brought up about the commission's bylaw with the 40% rule. We went out and string lined the stakes that we had set up out there and then counted all the trees in excess of 6 inches and larger. On site, when we talked about the size of the trees, it was suggested we go back and look at what the planning board used for their criteria. Theirs is actually 12 inches and larger, so we went down to 6 inches, saying that actually seemed a little more reasonable as far as the tree count size, and that was in discussion with your agent, and we all agreed at that point 6 inches was the appropriate number, not 12. We went through, we counted them, I submitted a memo with the counts there. In addition to showing that we're actually under the 40% on the actual tree count, I looked at this at another way. In case the commission, I don't know if you commissioners were on the board at the time when those rules were drafted, but I could see the way it was written that it might be considered or might be interpreted as 40% of the overall buffer zone being impacted versus just tree count. So I gave you both calculations to show that we comply either way. So that was just me kind of covering our bases regardless. So you can see if I just take the square foot area of the buffer zone and then the square foot area of the clearing area, we're under 40% clearing on the area as well as the actual tree count. And I think that was it as far as the comments that came from the prior meeting and what I was able to pick up on the site walk. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. And again, we have our wetland scientist who's here and happy to answer any questions about the actual delineation and the Wetlands Protection Act as it relates to that.
I'm just looking at this tree memo count. So you've got the area, square foot, and then the percent of total. But what is that percent of total? Is that the percent you're cutting or the percent that's not cut?
So I list both there. So you have the two different calculations, one that's tree count, one that's an area of impact. It's an area of impact calculation essentially. The one that's, I think it's 28,000 square feet is the square footage one. And so we take the 28,000 and change square feet, divide that by the total area that's within the buffer zone, and that gives us the percentage of area to be impacted. And then the number below that is the square foot area that's outside of the impact area. That's the remaining buffer zone that's not to be altered. You take that number, divide it by the total, that gives you that percentage, and when you add up the two percentages, it comes to 100% because we're accounting for the entire buffer zone.
Still don't get it.
I
Do
have
you
a hard time
understand
looking at
that?
it too.
It doesn't make any sense.
So the first number that's listed is the total, and then the impact area. So
That's where you're
the
going
two
to cut
percentage
trees, right?
equal.
Right, so there's a
The
column
area
there.
of impact is where he's going to cut,
That's the area of the clearing area.
right? And then the other one, the other is, the remainder is what,
We're not
buffer
touching.
zone, but you're not touching.
Correct.
So 30%, 37.6% of the buffer zone is going to be impacted. 62%, 62.4% is not going to be impacted. 38.4% of trees within the buffer zone will be cut. 61.6% will not be cut.
Okay. So the last one is what's not going to be cut.
Correct,
Correct.
yeah. The 62.4 and the 61.6% is what's being retained.
So if we agreed on a 6-inch diameter, we agreed on a 6-inch diameter, but refresh my memory, isn't our bylaw 4-inch diameter? Or my,
No, our bylaw doesn't.
it doesn't,
Doesn't say,
it's
which is-
silent on the issue?
Which, which is why we looked at the, zoning bylaws to get guidance, but in our discussion, I felt as though 12 inches was probably
Yeah, that's
too
way too
large.
much.
So 6, I didn't want him to have to go back out there, so.
Oh.
I, yeah, thought 6 was a good one.
There's nothing in the
Things we
DEP
should
No, that's fine.
clear up in the bylaw and be more specific.
manual?
Well, yeah,
Or
it sounds
wetland
like.
manual?
You could have a
defi-
half-inch tree.
defi- Define tree,
Yeah.
yeah.
In the wetland manual, it would be 4 inches DBH and over 20 feet. I know because I took part in writing it, my name's on it.
Nice, thank you.
4 inches?
4 inches DBH. It's the same federal government uses the same standard.
I thought there was a 4-inch in there.
How many trees are we talking about in total?
Well, Steve, there's 245 trees within the entire wetland buffer zone,
Bigger than 6-inch
bigger than
diameter.
6 inches or bigger. They're gonna cut 94 and leave 151, which is less than 40%. It's 38.4%.
2 or 3 trees would probably set it over 40%.
Sure.
I did the
We
math,
can
it's
do
it's
that
actually 4
calculation.
trees. Brings it over.
Yeah,
Better not miss any.
I'm assuming, because there was a lot of dead stuff out there, these are all live trees, or?
Correct. These are all living trees that are not broken off and fallen over. So, and these are all 6-inch and within those areas. So once that, essentially, the contractor is going to do the same thing that I did when we went out there. We tied a string around the stakes, stayed between the lines, and counted all the trees, so we knew we were getting a good number on this side of the erosion control line. Then we hopped to the other side, did the same thing. So we have good, solid numbers on our thing, and the contractor likely won't run string, but he'll have an actual erosion control line, and he'll stay on that side, so there's no reason for him to stray and get any, and whack any additional trees. They're all gonna be the ones that are on that side of the erosion control line.
Right?
245 altogether. That's just in the,
Just in the buffer zone?
that's just in the,
Any chance the
Yeah, well, maybe.
trees would be replaced at, once you do all your stuff? Or those come out and they're, then it's asphalt or grading or something like that?
At the moment, it's proposed as just grading with the conservation wildlife seed mix, but we'd be happy to propose a few trees in there if getting that number is mitigated, bringing that number down a little bit by putting a few proposed trees in there. We'd be happy to do that.
Be in your interest to stabilize it with some bigger.
Right.
But we're thinking shrubs and things that,
Right.
with,
Things that aren't gonna fall down.
right,
over the-
not just grass,
One of the, I think last time, Annie, you brought the thing on the replacement trees and shrubbery from one of the towns, and they had a good write-up on
I
using,
can't take credit, it was Mike, but yes.
oh, it was Mike, okay.
Yes.
But they had a good, like, some of it was trees, but they also they suggested some shrubs that would be appropriate, and that might be theoretically less expensive, I would assume, than a large tree.
doing a larger amount of plantings of shrubs versus
Shrubs
a
versus
handful of trees.
large tree. I'm guessing, but
94 trees is a lot to cut down for one house.
245 trees is a lot to cut down, and that's,
Not cutting
They're
down.
not
cutting
cutting
down
down.
245.
There's 245.
That's the
within
total inventory. 94 is the.
94 is what they're cutting down.
okay, so 151, okay.
Remain.
Yeah, but
Got it.
94 trees for one house is still a lot.
Anyway,
there's a lot.
Yeah.
that's not our jurisdiction.
Well, no, it isn't, but it
Well,
is that, okay, yeah, we can allow 40% or less trees to be cut down in the buffer zone, but, are we happy about it? I'm not happy about it.
Well, I think the more important thing is we're talking about peer review.
Right.
And I think, before we do anything, I think we ought to make that arrangement. I think it ought to be in a wetter season than right now, late March, early April-ish, just to get a better idea of what rainfall actually does when it's there, and whether there is a pool.
I can tell you that the applicant's not gonna be happy with that. I mean, delaying a project that long when she has a potential buyer online, I mean,
I can tell you, the commission's not happy the applicant didn't come to us 6 months ago, so
Well-
why don't we start there?
Well, two things, I've been out to the site twice,
Yeah.
and there's no vernal pool out there. That I can assure you of. I've probably looked at better than 200 vernal pools throughout New England, and there just is no vernal pool on that property.
Okay, that's,
There's no spot for it, nowhere for it to occur.
okay, vernal pool, intermittent stream, I mean, we just,
Intermittent
Getting-
stream's another question.
right,
but
right,
there's
and,
no-
and whichever it turns out to be, or doesn't turn out to be, you know, as long as there's some in uncertainty, then having a peer review is what we typically do
I'm
here.
not saying you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, and there's not much point in doing it right now, so, the appropriate time to do it would be in a wetter season. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the bylaw does say that we don't even have to make decisions on notice of intent during this time.
But not, we don't,
So, but we do,
That's the
but,
start.
I don't intend to be unreasonable, but
No, well,
I think
that's
we
what I'm
need to do
saying.
what we are
there is,
chartered to do.
there is support for what you're saying, Terry.
so is the concern, so there's the vernal pool, there's the intermittent stream. Do we think
Potential vernal pool,
potential intermittent stream? But someone meant, I think you mentioned it actually before, would that actually be?
Well, in this
So-
case, it does. I think, doesn't it? I mean, it affects how we view all the activity.
I mean, because it's pretty
They're
extensive.
looking at going well into the no-build zone,
Right,
on a substantial portion of this property. And, you know, I hate to see big trees cut down, but, I'm much more interested in jurisdictional issues, like filling in hundreds
Grading
of
and
cubic
filling,
yards
yes.
of hillside and
in addition to cutting the
Yeah,
trees down.
yeah.
Right.
so,
But, so I agree with you, my question is, in my mind, the amount of fill and the amount of cut and the amount of, you're moving all this vegetation, then you're putting a ton of stuff there, and it's right above, a
Poised.
resource area, poised to like slope down. Whether there's a vernal pool or an intermittent stream, in my mind, doesn't make a difference. I'm more concerned about all of the earthworks that's happening. I mean, you're adding
Right.
like a little bit over 6 feet where the well is gonna be dug.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, no, and I understand that, and that's why we take the adequate steps to make sure that we have erosion control in place, and those measures are there to protect the wetland, and that those resource protections are not removed until the site is fully stabilized. So there should be zero impact to the wetland until the work is complete, and once it's fully stabilized, we're happy to provide additional plantings in the form of shrubs or a few trees. I guess my major concern here is obviously a significant delay is a problem for the owners, and
Yeah.
if it's up to your consultant, if this were to go to a peer review, if your peer review is confident and capable of doing the peer review at this time, I don't see why we would delay it. I mean, I work in all the towns in Merrimack Valley, and none of them delay stuff like this. They'll send a peer review out this time, and they're able to complete the peer review now. They don't have to wait till April. This is, quite honestly, the first commission I've been in front of who suggested that it was necessary to delay it.
It would help to understand what they would want a peer review to focus on.
Mm.
What is the uncertainty here? The stream, I think we talked about.
Mm.
Are there other things that you'd want to hear from a peer reviewer on?
well, things like, and we should take you guys on a tour of some of the more interesting parts of Stonebridge, where half of that washed into the brook there. There's an awful lot going on the hillside there, and I think we're very concerned, especially because so much grading is going on deeply through the no-build zone,
Right.
right up to the no-disturb zone. And that's concerning.
But we're outside of those regulated areas. I mean, we're conforming. If it's a matter of ensuring stabilization, we could do that through, a jute mesh stabilization blanket that's put down on the earth and pinned down. It holds it in place until the seed mix takes hold and grows in. There's ways to ensure that the site remains stable during construction and after to ensure that there's no erosion. If it's just a matter of providing those details and showing that we can comply with that, I think that's pretty easy to accommodate.
Well, Mike, you ready to initiate a contact with a wetland scientist, peer review?
Yeah.
Get their opinion on when would be an appropriate time to go out and look?
Yep. But, you know, I think I would advise us to make a decision on that tonight, because otherwise we wouldn't be making a decision to hire somebody until next time.
Well, that's not out of the question.
I do have a scope from William and Sparage's already.
Well, we know we want one.
Right.
So,
That's
so
not
we
in
can
question.
say we wanna hire somebody. I think the way we just propose it to them is, first of all, we'd like your.
Could I say something?
Can I finish?
When he's finished.
Okay.
First, let's ask him, is this an appropriate time to go out and do it? And if not, when?
Yep.
Still hiring, and that's the
Yeah.
decision tonight.
Right, well, we don't necessarily have to make a decision on the timing tonight.
Right.
Well, that's
We
up
can
to-
just say we want to do a peer review as soon as possible, and,
Not as soon as
As
possible, as soon
appropriate.
as is appropriate.
well, okay, as soon, but that's what I
As soon
mean,
as possible could be
basically.
next week.
As
You've seen
soon
these
as
guys work magic in the space of 2
Appropriate,
weeks.
appropriately possible, I would say.
The key question is, what are you gonna be asking the peer reviewer to focus on? Because that will affect time of year and when it's
Yes,
appropriate or not.
we want somebody to interpret the plans that have been presented to us and explain to us without bias, or that it's being paid for to prove that this is the way to do it. And so that's why we hire peer reviewers. We use peer reviewers all the time for any subdivisions in particular, and this is basically a subdivision, so it's almost like, I don't even know why we're talking about it, we should just be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, my simplistic concern is you grade that, and what may be a stream becomes an even faster stream, and basically we fill in that depression with everything that you've built up. That's just a very simple
Right,
thought.
so you want
This is
somebody to.
breaking the action. Let's hear from,
Can I ask,
Yeah, go ahead.
how does this?
Oh,
peer
can you
review-
just state your name and,
My name is Martha Brienzi.
okay,
How does, I'm the landowner.
yes.
How does it work from your board, from your perspective, to get somebody for, you call a peer review?
How do we get a peer
How do you get it,
reviewer?
And who pays for that?
Well, what we do when we have a peer review is the commission hires somebody. We normally would suggest 2 or 3 different wetland scientists. We can get pricing from 3 wetland scientists, and then we present it to you, and then you can pick one, or you don't, or you could say you don't really care which one we use, and you then give us a check for the amount of the one that you've picked. We put it into a town escrow account. We pay the wetland scientist, and then any money that doesn't get used goes back to you. So that's how it's done.
I have another question.
Sure.
Why do you think that this man is not qualified?
nobody
I didn't
said
say he
that.
wasn't
Well, no, I know,
qualified.
but if he is qualified, why do we need another one?
Who does he work for?
Well, I mean, I hired him,
Okay,
obviously.
yes.
I brought him because I thought it was necessary to bring someone that would be
Right.
in that field.
You're correct.
Right.
So why would we bring another person that does the same thing?
Think of this as a trial, where there's a lawyer who's representing one side, and a lawyer is representing the interests of another side. Same law, different interpretation.
I understand.
So,
I
so
just
that's the
would like-
situation.
I don't like, you said something about delays. We didn't really want to come this late. We were planning on October, and something happened, and we couldn't do it in October. It's not that we wanted to come this late in the year. I mean, from October, we started, and we were hoping to get here in October. There was a major problem, and we couldn't do it. So that, I'm sorry to say, but that's what happened. So, you know, the delays are bothering me because we do have a possible,
This is
Right.
pretty delicate resource area that it's our job to protect, so.
I understand that, but
And
it's
it-
my job as the landowner to try and get it resolved as easily and as
Sure.
quickly as possible, because it seems like it shouldn't be such a big production, but that's why I have an engineer, that's why he is state certified. You know, I mean.
Yeah,
I
but
think
have
he's
you
been
seen any,
pretty-
you know, this is normal for process.
A peer review is very normal, and part of it is, I always look at it, it sort of protects you in the sense that if somebody else from town comes in and says, oh, the commission did X, Y, Z, it's like, no, we had some outside people look at it too. You know,
Someone comes in such as,
well, someone from, you know, behind you is a
okay.
a butter who may say, oh, no, I think the Conservation Committee acted inappropriately. You know,
I don't think you do.
pardon?
Number one, we're not saying you do. Number two, we're not saying he does.
Right. I'm just.
All we're saying is that whenever there's neighbors, there can be problems.
I think it's,
Sometimes
I've been a
neighbors are
neighbor.
great.
I-
We have neighbors
I've been a
with, we
neighbor.
share a fire pit with.
Right. I've been a
Everything's
neighbor for
fine.
almost 50 years in that particular location. I've never had an issue with anyone. Anyone.
Right.
But you could have
you
somebody
haven't-
drive by and complain.
Yeah.
You could have somebody just
Okay.
drive into West Newbury and they look over and say, oh my God, all those trees are getting cut down. I'm gonna call the state. And then the state gets involved. And that's,
I will almost
nobody wants that.
guarantee you someone's gonna call us once this starts.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
I say, I almost guarantee you somebody's gonna call us when it starts. I mean, that's how the previous gentleman, somebody called, I guess Annie, about they saw logging trucks leaving. So so we just wanna have all our ducks in a row.
So do I.
Okay,
So,
So another thing I wanted to, and this is, might upset you, sorry, is putting a bond on the work.
Yeah.
Just because of the potential for something to go wrong.
okay, well,
well,
we
we're getting
don't,
ahead of ourselves.
we don't
I'm
need
just
to
getting ahead
discuss
of
that now,
ourselves.
but it's good that you mention
Yeah,
that, just so that they are aware
Surprise.
that we will probably ask for some kind of bond guarantee or escrow account.
You know, that assumes if we approve it and everything as drawn, we've done it on other projects, and he mentioned Stonebridge, because that, in the end, it worked out fine. There was a little while where things were not going well.
There was a time when a good portion of that development ended up in Argila Brook. So, we've just seen it, unfortunately, we've seen things.
Yes,
So,
all right,
what are we
so-
motioning?
All right, well, we don't have to motion necessarily unless you want to, but I would suggest, why don't you make a motion that we...
Make a motion to continue, at least.
Well, no, but I'm saying, as far as the peer review, why don't you make a motion about the peer review?
Well, I make a motion, we authorize Mike to set out some requests for bids on a peer review that can be presented to the homeowner, and schedule the peer review at the earliest appropriate time.
Okay,
Earliest appropriate.
is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Everybody wants a second.
Any further discussion? So, you know, using our normal routine, we're saying that we want a peer review and we can provide up to 3 or 2 to
Potential.
3 potential names and pricing on doing that at our next meeting and make a decision.
If-
But once we get that approved, then we will see what the landowner wants to do. All right, so let's let's vote on this motion.
Can I just ask a question? Doesn't the applicant get to choose the peer reviewer, though?
Yes, that's
So
what-
do we need to do it at a meeting if they're gonna be the one ultimately making the decision?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just thinking for timeliness of it, if the peer review finds it acceptable and appropriate to do it tomorrow. I mean, you know, obviously that's not gonna be able to happen, but I'm just thinking, cause obviously the applicant is sensitive
Eager.
to time,
Well,
that we
but
can,
no.
it doesn't need to be done at a meeting. I mean, they're gonna be the ones ultimately choosing, so what,
They choose their preference, but we've got to say, yes, we want that person or not.
That's not how you said that. That's not how you said that. You said you will give me probably three different peer reviews,
Yes.
pricing, and I choose.
You choose which one you want.
I know, but
That
why
doesn't
would I even
mean
excuse
that-
me for one moment, sir. Why would I even have a choice if you're gonna pick the one you want?
It's got a pretty good argument there.
No, because,
Really?
because,
You just said you would give me three choices, I would pick one that I thought was appropriate, and you'd go on with that.
You're
And
not
now
gonna
you're saying
recommend
the
anybody
opposite
that
way.
we
You're saying
wouldn't-
If I
Right.
pick A, and you want B or
we
C.
hire the person. We hire the person, ma'am. We hire the person, not you. You pay for it. We allow you to tell us which one you would prefer, and 99% of the time, we go with that person. But we pick the person, we hire the person, and that can only be done at a meeting. It's just the way it works. I'm sorry. It's like we can't make decisions outside of the meeting. Those are just the rules.
No, and I understand what the chairman's saying. I guess to get back to that point there is, I don't know why we would be requesting a bid from anybody that you wouldn't be okay with. So if you get three bids from three people you're okay with, why wouldn't you pick the ones you choose?
Because sometimes it's a matter of timing, sometimes it's a matter of we've had we haven't preferred a certain person. There's only so many people that we use. We have our preferences, but yet sometimes we have to in order to find three people, we have to find three people that at least are willing to do it. Many times our preference isn't even available, so that's what I mean.
And
So
if-
why don't we take a vote on this, and then I will explain what I think maybe is the best option for you. All right, so let's take a vote to, basically, we're saying we want to hire a peer reviewer. So, Terry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Mike, yes, and Fred.
Hit the mute
Fred's
button.
okay? Aye. Okay, thank you. Unanimous. Okay, so we already have a quote and someone who's willing to do it. So unless, if you're okay with that, we'll be able to decide tonight to hire them to do the work. Unless unless you want to wait and we'll get two more.
Do we
So
wanna,
what's the specifics? Can you explain, Annie, what's the specifics on that?
I reached out to Layman's Farages, to Greg Hockmuth, who we're all familiar with. It is a 4-page document, so I don't know how intense you want me to go with it, but, the scope of services, just the bullet points, wetland resource area delineation review, document review report, meeting attendance, supplemental package review, assistance with drafting the order of conditions, and then it goes into the fees, which would be $2,200.
That's the total,
Correct.
2,200.
For the 5 things, so a site visit, document plan review, report, meeting attendance.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, the other key thing that helps us is this person will help us write the orders of condition in the permit, which, again, we're volunteers, we're not professionals. We've had a lot of experience writing them and applying different things, but believe me, with the way that things change all the time, we can't always keep up with it. So it's good for us and basically for you to have somebody who's a professional helping us write the permit. sometimes volunteers, you know, they get over rambunctious about something, want to put this, that, or the other thing in, they kind of hold us back. So that's another advantage of doing that. I understand, it sounds stinky, you know, I'm sorry. But I think it will help the both of us. You know, it's unfortunately the time issue, but that's, we'll do the best we can with it. So,
So Annie gets in touch with this particular individual,
yeah,
and you will let me know or let Matt know?
I can send over this scope right now to you, Matt.
So, if you wanna expedite things, you can authorize this individual now.
Right, no, I already,
And then they can get that started by asking whether or not they'd be willing to do it at this time of year. That's the first question that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
Do you guys wanna talk about it, or you're in agreement? Okay.
all right, so I'll make a motion to hire Greg Hockmuth as the peer reviewer based on his, quote.
Second.
Any further discussion on it? Okay. Terry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Mike, yes, Fred,
Aye.
unanimous, so Annie will get in touch with him, find out, and then she'll be in touch with you about the payment and everything else.
And in the meantime, while we're waiting for the peer review to be completed, we will do what we said we'd do on Lot 1, get that plan back to you for an update. On this plan here, I'll work directly with our wetland scientist, Matt, to come up with some plantings that we can put in there, maybe beef it up a little bit with some shrubs and some trees that could be placed in there as well to provide some additional mitigation for the impacts that we're proposing. So
Right.
we can come up with that list.
I like your idea about using the mat. I don't know, anything you can do, I think, to stabilize it as quickly as possible would be helpful. I have no idea how much it costs to do that.
Yep.
And it may, you know, maybe it's more effective to do plantings right away, you know.
Well, they're not gonna be any use for a couple of years.
Well, the ground cover would be, but the shrubs. and
Right,
stuff-
The shrubs, right.
they're not
I'm-
gonna.
I'm just, I want to give you guys options. Pardon?
I said it's the wrong time of year anyway.
Right.
Right.
Right, no, my thought being, do we want to talk about some other details to get it on the plan, so when they come back, we have a plan that we're all happy with and we can vote? Or
Nah,
Let's
do we want to wait
here.
for Greg to come back
That's right,
first?
Greg.
Well, if there are things that the commissioners would like to see added or changed on the plan, we'd like to get that, again, to avoid delays, we'd like to get that going immediately.
So I'm gonna, and this is a gut feel, I'm wondering if one hay bale at the bottom of a hill where you have 6 feet of fill is gonna stop anything, should things go wrong. And that's not to say I have the solution of what should be there, but, I don't know, I mean, do you know,
One hay bale's not enough.
Well,
Right.
one string of hay bales backed with, not one single hay bale.
but even.
He means,
No, one string of hay bales backed with silt fence is what's proposed there now.
And I'm wondering either a second row of hay bales, I don't think, at some point going higher doesn't really, it's not gonna stop the dirt. If you have like some catastrophic event of.
And again, we
you know,
should take him to Marion Way and show him the 20-foot tall retention wall there
Right,
on the side of the hill, before that was draining into Main Street.
So is that order of conditions, or how do you?
My
That'd
cons-
be order of conditions.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we should get too far ahead of ourselves.
No, and I think Greg will give us suggestions anyway, won't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he will.
I assume you're familiar with Greg?
I know him very well.
Okay.
all right, I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for Lot 2 on the end of Center Street to our next meeting, which is February 8th? 8th? Yes, February 8th. Okay.
February 8th?
Yep.
Any questions or discussions
Agenda.
before we move on? Okay, Terry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Mike, yes, Fred?
Aye.
Okay.
That's not us.
Driving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aye.
Matt, what's your last name? How do you-
SCHW, EIS,
CHW.
B as in boy, ERG.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, we got an open position.
I know, he already asked. You guys worked way too hard for me.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion to close the hearing portion of the meeting
Second.
at
I got this one.
Tied.
8:37 PM.
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Thank you.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Mike, yes, Fred,
Aye.
thank you. All right, so we're back to the other items. So I think
Thanks for
we
coming in,
left
guys.
off-
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We left off at number 2, seasonal restriction waivers.
I think Andy said none, right?
Bilge.
Well,
Well, so there are none new requested.
None new?
No, none new.
we have an open one.
Yes, so well, so I guess we do technically have two open ones. The sewer project, which is going well. They're in the colleges now. I think that's going well, so they're outside of our
Aye.
jurisdiction. The wetland crossing is complete behind the highway yard. It looks good. I mean, obviously they tore it all up, but they put it back and it looks good.
So I haven't been out there, so the portion, what is the portion of the, that 8-acre parcel? What does that look like now?
It looks overall pretty good. Most of it, I mean, the gun range is back the way it looked before. You never know. They cut through it.
Yep.
The rest of it, the last time I was there, which was last week, and they were just finishing up. So I think I had mentioned at the last meeting, they did end up having to blast.
Yeah,
Did I mention that?
yeah.
Oh, is that what those sounds were?
That is what those sounds were.
Oh, it all makes sense.
Yep. So they had to blast in an area, and and there was a lot of shale that they had to remove. So they had some stockpiles back in that, like the sand pit, I guess you could call it, area. And when I was last there, they were moving it.
Shale?
When I was there last week, they were moving it because they had just finished up laying pipe where they had to blast.
So Mr. Daly agreed to do what is in the natural heritage requirement for the 8-acre portion
Yep.
of establishing turtle, a turtle zone there, turtle habitat, nesting area.
Yep.
So what are his plans on that?
So none as of yet because they're not done working back there. They still have to get back there to do the stream crossing.
Yeah.
So, and they're not going to be able to do that until the spring because of the turtles. So it's still far out as far as that work because like I said, they are still working there. They are still going in and out of there because they do have, I know, some manholes stockpiled back there, some pipe stockpiled back there too. So they're not by any means kind of clean, like not, I mean, the site's cleaned up, but they're not done and dusted in the area quite yet. They still have some work that needs to be done. But he is aware of it. I spoke to him about it a week or 2 weeks ago, probably.
Am I gonna cry when I go look at it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I haven't been out this week because they haven't been working in any of our jurisdiction. But, you know, it looks good.
Do you wanna go look at it, Mike?
I've been meaning to get out there, but I just haven't been able to find the time to do it. So when I come back from vacation,
Yeah,
and
you're
I'm
leaving.
well-rested and, you know, not uptight, I'll go see it.
When he's
Give me a
chill,
call. I'd like to.
Me
I'd like
too,
to-
actually.
Yes.
Are we allowed to go walk back there if I'm
Oh,
wearing
yeah.
my little vest? Okay.
I mean, anyone can access 150 Center Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Just watch
I
out
know
for
I've
the gun
mentioned
range.
to you, the commission, before, we've had hunting back there. We did remove a deer stand, but I am going to be purchasing no hunting, trapping, or motorized vehicle signs along the edge of the property, so I'm gonna be officially posting the property for no hunting, just as another heads up. But back to seasonal restrictions. The high school, we had a significant amount of rain last week, and we had some issues. As the commission knows, they are working on the new athletic fields where the middle school used to be. They were having some serious mud control issues. When they were leaving the site on the Groveland side, it was tracking into the road. Well, so part of it was tracking into the road, excuse me, which, oh gosh, it was tracking into the road, which ended up entering the catch basins along Main Street, which ended up entering the stream and wetlands in West Newbury. So it was kind of traveling from Groveland heading into West Newbury.
But
That-
that wasn't erosion, that was being carried by.
That was being
vehicle
carried by,
tires.
exactly.
Aren't they supposed to clean that up every day?
So they are now. They didn't have a sweeper on site at the time. They have 2 sweepers on site now that are working.
Wow.
Well,
It's like a little
that was-
ballet.
was cheaper
Yes.
for the-
So as far as the Groveland side of things goes, they have a construction entrance going now at that area, and it's helped a lot. I'll give credit where credit is due. The guys there have been more than accommodating with everything that myself and the West Newbury Commission, conservation agent have asked for. But so it's under control now. But it was not. It was mostly on the West Newbury side, though. None of Groveland's wetlands. I mean, obviously, wetland systems are interconnected and they don't stop along town lines. But as far as jurisdiction goes, it was all the impacts, all the point sources were on the West Newbury side. So they definitely kind of, obviously, rightfully so, took that under their reign and got it together. But we, of course, worked together because, like I was saying, some of the origin of it was on the Groveland side
It
of
must be
things.
helpful to be able to work with another agent on a project like this.
Definitely. Michelle's great. She's the agent for West Newbury, Merrimack, and Amesbury right now.
Very cool.
She's great. Yeah. So,
All right,
They're only
so,
using the third.
Yeah.
So as far as
have
the
planes to catch tomorrow.
seasonal restriction that
Yeah,
they
go.
have, we don't have to talk about that till next month, right?
correct. It's up in February.
Yeah, so next month they should have a report for us and we'll decide whether we want to extend it
Yep.
further. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Move to approve the December 9th, 2022 minutes as written
Second.
with the one notification that I think Annie missed an apostrophe somewhere. but I can't remember where it is, so we'll just let that one slide. This,
Groveland is spelled wrong
Where's
Is that true?
Groveland spelled wrong?
in the guess.
Just blame it on this.
oh, sure enough.
Oh, he's not even joking. I thought
Where?
he was joking.
I didn't catch that one.
Under under guests, yeah.
Yes.
1
Oh.
Webster Way, Groveland. Joe Vassapoli.
I noticed it because it was an affront to my eye.
Well, I noticed under open discussion, there's a sentence that,
Doesn't make sense.
It might
Doesn't
be, it
end.
might be Estes Park is supposed to have an apostrophe.
That's right, I saw that one too, yes.
Guys, I learned how to read and write in French first. Cut me some slack.
oh, that's,
Anyway, that was my motion.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I seconded it.
Aye.
All right, so what do you want to do? Do you want to approve it with the changes that'll be made?
Yeah, that was my motion.
okay.
I can sign it.
We haven't done the signature in a while. I do the
Yeah.
box at the top to show the motion.
Oh, okay.
We're
Oh,
perfect.
we're not doing the signature anymore?
No, it's been about a year.
Okay.
Oh, and just for the record, Grimm just has one M.
Oh, I always do that.
So does everybody.
Sorry.
It feels like it should be
Where's-
2.
In the,
Okay.
All
in the
right,
front.
sorry, guys.
Hills, those are 2 M's,
Oh,
right?
up at the top.
yes, ma'am, they are, but
Because
that's not
everywhere
me.
else you're
Yep.
single out.
Well, that's probably been like that for a year and a half. Ever since, Gebauer left. Maybe even before, who knows?
Now that you mentioned, I don't remember.
Anyway, can we vote on this thing?
Yes.
I miss him
Didn't
too.
We need roll call for the
Yes.
minutes.
Okay. Terry,
Aye.
Tom. Aye. Bill.
Aye.
Stephanie.
Hi.
Mike, yes. Fred.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Ah,
Oh.
Nice, Fred. Good choice.
5 in favor, 1 abstention. All right. Next.
Now go on mute, Fred.
Next is the update from our environmental program coordinator.
It's been a good month. Nothing too crazy going on. I've been at the school more, obviously, just making sure things there are staying buttoned up. Probably going to start doing inspections on days before it's going to start rain. Or it's going to rain heavily, so I'll be there tomorrow. In other news, Meadow Pond has been posted with safety zone hunting signs. I finally finished that up. There are a few larger logs down on some of the trails that will need chainsaw to remove. So that's, I did a walk out there. Not all the trails, not all of the paths, obviously, but I did some of them.
That's from our visit there in the.
Yeah, I saw, I mean, the stuff you did was great. I did,
should we set up another play date?
we can.
See if I can track down a chainsaw.
We might be able to borrow one from Doug at VZ.
Yes, we talked about that.
It would make sense to use,
A gas.
well, no, well,
Powered.
yes, obviously, but,
Well,
it would
because the
also,
last one was electric.
it
so-
would make sense to have not use a homeowner's chainsaw, just,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
just 'cause.
Um,
So yes, if,
Prevent lawsuits.
yeah,
reduce.
I can talk to
scope
Doug
of the
about that.
lawsuits.
But so the safety zone hunting signs have been posted there. And then I did do a walk at Town Forest, and I did the loop, and it was impeccable shape. There was just one log down, just with the storms that we've had recently. On a separate but related note, Martha, she is the, I think, environmental coordinator. I'm not sure. I can't remember her exact title. At Chesterton, reached out to me this week. I don't know. Reached out and asked about partnering with us for Earth Day. Yay! It's very exciting. We talked about it initially. I, of course, jumped all over it because I'm very excited about it. She said that Chesterton would certainly be able to provide physical assistance. So as far as, oh, is it?
Yeah.
So it probably wouldn't be on Sunday because they would want to do it on a work day. But trail cleanup, things like that. But she was also potentially going to ask, because it's not under her purview, if, maybe like a financial contribution in some way. She said, like, if you want 10 trees planted somewhere, we'd be able to buy the 10 trees and then help you plant them. Something like that. They don't know if they can do that or not at all. She doesn't have approval to do that. She knows for sure that they'd be able to help with a cleanup or something of that variety, but the financial thing is not at all, a sure thing.
Can you send her a link to the Clean River Project? Because they do.
Sure.
They have like corporate, team building, cleanups and stuff. I mean, it's dirty work. There's
That's a really good thought.
syringes and,
Yeah.
and they pulled a car out of the river a couple
Yeah.
of months ago.
Except we don't want them going doing that stuff and not helping us.
Well, we want them to do both.
I don't know how many people I don't know how many people like they'll be able to provide it. I mean, the reason I'm bringing it to the commission now is I told her a good way to do it, and she agreed, was to maybe like kind of provide a list, and then from there we can work towards the project we're going to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So-
have a list.
Okay.
I can email it to you.
Okay.
But if you want, I'll tell you. But So, we need to, clear the marked trails at Center Street and put up map signs. We need to install a kiosk at Center Street Greenway that the school has and built, but it's sitting somewhere at the school for like the past 5 years. We need to clear trees at Meadow Pond. Well, we talked about that. We need to, we've got some painting work at VZ Park that could be done on one of the buildings there. And they could help us by planting, one of the, on my tree CPA project was to plant 10 elm trees along the drive up to VZ Park. Now, I could remove that from the CPA project and they could do it. And because the cost of the elm trees is not that much, it's just the labor to dig the holes and put them in, you know, because they're maybe, you know, I don't know how big they are, but like 2 or 3 inches. They're not seedlings, so you gotta dig a decent hole. So that's another idea.
Okay.
I mean, maybe they could even pay for the trees.
Well, what about the fencing that we talked about putting up at the bottom?
That's
Yeah,
a
that's
pretty
not
big
in there.
project.
That's,
All right, okay.
We're looking at things that
It's a
a
bit beyond.
handful of
digging a
untrained
hole.
people can do in a couple hours.
Yeah,
No,
so anyone else have any other ideas?
And if you don't right now, feel free to email me.
Yeah.
Can I suggest, we went hiking in Ipswich, I think it was, Willowdale
Yeah,
Park or something.
Willowdale, yeah.
And they have, instead, they had a thing where if there are no maps, hit the QR code and there's your map. That would be a little easier to maintain, I think, wouldn't it? You know, laminated, I mean, have a map also, but you know, some sort of QR thingy that would get people's maps up.
Yes.
phones.
My only thought with that is that it will be money, ongoing money, I would think.
Can't
Why?
we link it to the, to
Just link it to
website,
the website.
the Town of Groveland website?
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, but to sustain a QR code, I don't know if that requires any ongoing financial.
Should be easy enough to find out,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just something I don't know, I
I
don't
mean, they're
know
everywhere.
enough.
I don't think so.
They are, but I mean, I know you have to pay for QR code, like to generate a QR code.
Yeah, but it's pretty cheap.
I have no idea.
It has to be, it's
Yeah.
digital, costs nothing.
But,
Well,
you know, that's a
Willowdale does it.
I didn't say,
possibility, but
it was
Yeah.
priced at
we
nothing,
don't
I said it
really-
costs nothing.
Some of these places, we don't even have online maps.
Yeah.
so.
Well, that's the other thing. that I mean, that in and of itself could be a full CPC project,
But,
which is too late for
I
right
don't-
now.
I don't know if you've been in Town Forest, especially if you head over to West Newbury. What I would love to have eventually is location-oriented maps. So they have these mounted maps in their plastic, and they have all the trails on them of the place, but then it says, "You are here." And then you walk some ways, and then there's another one where "You are here."
They're very nice.
So
Yeah.
it's great, because
Yeah, no,
it's
that's,
hard to get lost.
I'd be happy just to have a trail marker here and
Yeah,
there.
right.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah, so if anyone else thinks of other ideas, send them to Annie, and we can maybe get something done. I think it's fantastic.
I was very excited to receive that call.
all right, what else?
I got nothing.
Okay. So calls, meetings, and upcoming projects. All right, so we talked about this upcoming project for Earth Day. Okay, I've got, in the open discussion, I've got a few different things. One is, if you recall, about a year ago, it was quite a while ago, we voted to accept a donation of a lot on King Street, lot 13-014A,
You mean 7-star?
7-star, yes.
Okay, sorry. Just
And so we accepted it, and our on-the-board lawyer, John at the time, filed it at the, filed the acceptance at, or the deed. He made up the deed and filed it at the Registry of Deeds. But we skipped a step that the selectmen have to approve any land donations.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
All of
So,
them?
Yeah.
I thought it
Oh.
was already done before even.
No. It never, it went to the Registry of Deeds, because, you know, John, he got it done really quick. And we didn't take the time to take it to the selectmen and get it approved. So that still needs to be done. That's something that's been on my to-do list for a long time. So we gotta do it. So,
Doesn't it need to go to town meeting as well?
no, not town meeting.
No, it's just Board of
Because we're not
Selectmen.
buying anything, it's
Okay.
just, they just need to
They
accept
did one a
it.
couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
They did that one a couple weeks ago, the donation, right? Didn't we have one that they had to approve a couple weeks ago? Something similar?
Mm,
From the storage facility guy.
Bradley goes, but that was a conservation
Oh,
restriction,
yeah,
not
that
a
was.
land
Oh, it's
donation.
different.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll get this, try to get this done, you know, so, not right away, within the next couple months. Were they upset by that?
Well, they've been paying taxes on it.
Who, the owners?
Yes. So they're not thrilled. But I think it was only like $90 or something a month.
Yeah, it's
so.
small.
But now
All
they're
right.
calling us and the assessor.
There's no, unfortunately, there's no guarantee that the selectmen are gonna approve this.
But we do own it though, because the deed exists.
Yes.
So whether we,
So
So
they're
why are they
gonna,
getting
you know what they're
charged
gonna
taxes?
start doing
Right,
is
that's
sending
kinda
us
weird.
the bill for
Why,
the
why wouldn't
Yes.
they, I would have said, no, I don't own it.
All right,
someone died and then.
the other one is, okay, got that one, what is it? So,
Can I make a motion?
any other items? I thought that I had two more things, but we actually already talked about them, so I don't need to bring those up.
Carrie, can I see your hat before you go?
You remember,
I wanna see the inside.
No, you don't want to.
Well, can you just turn it, cause it.
Do
yeah,
we
that's
wanna
kinda cool.
just,
Are you-
the meeting, we're still live on TV.
Are you good, Mike?
Move to adjourn.
no, wait, go ahead.
No, we're still live on TV, so I
Yes,
just wanna make sure
yeah.
we're.
Keep our well-behaved selves in order. So, yeah, so I think we're done. All I wanted to say was remember to mark on your calendar March 3rd or 4th, and Annie will follow up with us so we can get that all set to go visit Eric Harper's place. All right, now you can do that, Terry.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Terry,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Hi.
Mike, yes, Fred,
Aye.
unanimous. Thanks,
It might
Fred.
be a surprise.
Yeah.
Bye, Fred.
Aye.